Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet $50 on any game. Get up to $1,111 in free bets courtesy of the Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for. But at the same time, as I mentioned on Friday's show, by the way, shout out to the YouTube subscribers because I may have downloaded the wrong clip on Friday, did a reaction on Thursday, and then on Friday downloaded Thursday's reaction for Friday. Neither here nor there. But the bottom line is this. I am talking a little bit of college basketball because there's an interesting event that took place over the last couple of days. It's called the Globl Jam. It's an under-23 international tournament played in Canada. And it is, essentially a traditional, mainstream event. They hand out gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, whatever. And it's played by teams all over the world. So the Canada sends a team, Germany sent a team to represent Europe, Africa sent a team, etc. Well, the U.S., rather than picking different players from different parts of the country, they decided for the second year in a row to just send an entire college team. So a year ago, Baylor came to this same event. Instead of representing, instead of picking individual players for a U.S. team, Baylor just came to this event, went 1-4 and struggled. This year, though, Kentucky was the U.S. representative in this event. And so I bring it up. I wouldn't talk about it on 2 straight shows. But did anybody besides me actually watch Kentucky this weekend? Kentucky went 4-0 in this event. Absolutely dominant fashion. Wins the gold medal against teams full of high major college players, older professional players. Again, 21, 22, 23-year-old grown men. And I just got to be honest. I think there is a distinct possibility that a lot of people may have underestimated this Kentucky team. And going into this year, Kentucky may be better than we realized. I know it's only July. I know we got 4 months to the start of the season and another, 7, 8 months until March Madness. But I'm just here to say, I always say, right? We're doing the show tonight. We got to react to the information that we have right now. And I don't want to overreact to an international tournament. But Kentucky looked freaking awesome in this event. And I am so fired up for this season because I think they might be better than people realize. Now, in terms of this event, a couple of things stood out. One, listen, and I've said it over the course of the weekend. I was pretty critical of Kentucky and John Calipari early in the spring. I understood that they had a highly ranked recruiting class, but I thought in terms of the portal, in terms of older players, I thought John Calipari was dragging his feet too much. I thought he was waiting too long. If you remember, to start June, he only had 7 scholarship players on his roster. But what I'll also say is this. Once the roster got settled, again, June 1, there were 7 scholarship players. Then Antonio Reeves returned from the NBA draft process. They got a transfer from West Virginia named Trey Mitchell. They added 2 freshmen afterwards. I'll say this. I did think that there was a possibility, and I did think realistically that people were probably a little bit underestimating Kentucky coming out of mid-June and late June and once they made their final additions to this roster. The one thing I said is this. I was critical early, but I also said, when I see other national media members, Kentucky's not even a top 25 team, or they're a fringe top 25 team. So wait a second now. I get that they were a little slow in the portal, and I get that college basketball is now an older man's sport. You guys do understand, though, that they have the #1 recruiting class in the country, 5 top 25 prospects, 3 future lottery picks. And so when I watch this team in Canada, that is the one thing that stood out. This is an old school John Calipari team. John Calipari, you can like him, you can hate him, you can love him, you can this, you can that. But in his best times as Kentucky basketball coach, they've essentially all had one thing in common. His teams generally have been really talented and really young, and then he has filled around the young players with smart veteran players. You can go back to the 2012 national championship team. Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marquise Teague, as true freshmen, led that team. I'm probably missing somebody else. Marcus Teague, whatever. They also had Darius Miller, 4th-year senior, Terrence Jones, Deron Lamb, that helped them. you go through all his teams. The best players are generally freshmen. And so I do think there is something to the fact that his best players are freshmen, NBA prospects, and for all the criticism, it was interesting to note. They do have like 3 projected lottery picks on this team, one of which Aaron Bradshaw did not even play in this event. Justin Edwards and DJ Wagner are 2 of generally the top 3-4 high school prospects playing college basketball this year. Always thought that was underappreciated, and those guys showed out. When Kentucky needed dudes to make plays, DJ Wagner was awesome early in the event. Justin Edwards with 17 points in the first half of the championship game was great late. It was the freshman that took over. John Calipari has said for a decade and a half at Kentucky, and he said it again during this tournament. You guys have asked me for years, do I want talent or do I want experience? I'm taking talent every single time. Beyond that, the other thing that stood out, you watch these games, Calipari's best teams, right? When Calipari got to Kentucky, what was the concept? It was, we run the dribble drive, which was basically catch, rip, go. Catch, hit the basket, attack. Watching this team, I was kind of blown away because I'm just going to say, we've seen a certain type of basketball played by Kentucky over the last couple of years. This team's completely different. And listen, I talked about it on Friday's show. I love Oscar Tshiebwe. Love what he did for Kentucky. Love what he's about. All-American, all-time great. Probably have his jersey retired at some point. I don't think I realized how limited you are when you have Oscar Tshiebwe as your starting center until I watched this event. When I watch this event, you realize with Oscar Tshiebwe, the offense runs through the low post. Got to dump it in. Got to wait to see what he does. Is he going to kick it back out? Is he going to pass it? Is he going to dribble? Is he going to take a mid-range jump shot? What is he going to do? On defense, you can't full court press. You don't have rim protection. You're limited in what you can do. Watching this Kentucky team this week, and I tweeted it on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon when they played the African team. I said, this team is full of guys that just catch, rip, and go. When I say rip, what I mean is I catch, rip through the defender's arm that's trying to defend you, and then attack the basket. Watch this team. DJ Wagner can get to the rim anytime he wants. Reed Sheppard, freshman, Kentucky, can get to the rim anytime he wants. Rob Dillingham can get to the rim anytime he wants. Justin Edwards anytime he wants. Antonio Reeves largely can. Trey Mitchell can make plays off the bounce. The center that transferred in from West Virginia. This is a different team, and I think they're going to surprise some people when the season starts. In terms of individuals, I just mentioned maybe the most important player in Canada. I'm blown away by how good Trey Mitchell looks. Trey Mitchell, I've watched him for 4 years in college, started at UMass, went to Texas, ends up at West Virginia. He was always a good player, but he was a player, like he never really stood out that much to me. Nice mid-range jumper, not an elite athlete, not an elite rim protector, good on the boards, whatever. He was awesome in Canada. First game, back-to-back threes in the third quarter, opened things up. Final game, he was kind of the one piece early on that had a ton of effect. He was very good early. I should mention the other veteran on this roster, Antonio Reeves, was phenomenal. 27 points in Saturday's win, 8 3-pointers made. This was the guy, again, if you love college basketball, remember, last year, final game of the regular season, 37 points at Arkansas, 22 points against Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, 22 points against Providence in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. He was playing with confidence towards the end of the season, but he played with a different degree of confidence in Canada, and you can tell what type of impact that he is having on this team. Finished with 18 points in the victory over Canada in the championship game. Beyond that, let me credit where it's due. The freshmen were awesome, okay? One, I mentioned it, Reed Sheppard, high school player from the state of Kentucky. And listen, I think most people listening know. His father, Final Four MVP at Kentucky, MOP in 1998. And I said it on Friday's show, like, I don't think Calipari would have recruited him if he couldn't play at Kentucky. Calipari doesn't hand out scholarships like their charity paperwork. If he couldn't play, he wouldn't play there. But the fact remains is that he was awesome in this tournament. I saw John Rothstein even tweet out after 3 games, 18 points or 18 assists, 3 turnovers through 3 games in the tournament. Basically, I'm not great at math, but that's a 6-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He was unbelievable. I have completely changed my opinion on him, what he does, what he's capable of, what his upside is for this team. On top of that, Let me also add this. The rest of the freshmen, I mentioned it earlier. Justin Edwards started the tournament slow, finished strong, 23 points in the championship game, 17 in the first half, really carried this team when they struggled early on Sunday. And then DJ Wagner. I just think he is kind of that calming force, that guy that can get to the rim anytime he wants. And again, it goes back to what I said a minute ago. Calipari's best teams have had NBA talent in the freshman class. I'll take it a step further. They've had NBA caliber point guards. De'Aaron Fox, whoever, John Wall, Derrick Rose, dating back to the Memphis days, Marcus Teague, as I just mentioned, part of that 2022 team, Brandon Knight, you go on and on down the list. He's had great play at point guard, and I think this kid is next. Although I really think what's kind of cool about this Kentucky team, they really have 2, maybe 3 guys who can run the point. Wagner, Reed Shepherd, maybe even Rob Dillingham, who I actually thought played well in the championship game. Started out the tournament slow, played well late. One other player I should mention, I'm basically going through the roster at this point, Adu Thiero was basically a reserve that got thrown into action as a freshman last year. He was awesome. Super athletic, plays super hard, attacks the rim. I'm excited to watch him. I cannot believe it. And I bring it up to very simply say this. We can end on the show. I don't need to spend an hour and a half breaking down Kentucky basketball in July. But what I would say is 2 things. One, I do think I was wrong on this team. And I get it. Long way to the season. You play Kansas early in the year with Hunter Dickinson and all those guys. Yeah, obviously you're going to be in a loaded SEC with a good Tennessee team and a good Arkansas team and a good Auburn team. I think Florida's going to be better this year. Who else am I missing? Bama with Nate Oates. He's always got a squad. So I'm not handing this team anything. But what I will say, 2 things stood out from this event. One, I just think they're better than we thought. But, and 2, well, it's really 3 things that have stood out. 2, I would also say I think they're probably mentally tougher than I gave them credit for. There was 2 different times in this tournament where it felt like their backs were against the wall. Against Africa on Saturday, Africa cut the lead. They immediately rally, go on a 9-0 run, pull away, and win in a dominant fashion. But 2, they're a really fun team to watch as well. This was a team that in the championship game against Canada put up 89 points, put up 93 in a victory earlier in the tournament against Canada, and then put up 104 points on Saturday against Africa. So I've said what I had to say. I'm doing what I had to do. But I'll just say this. I am so excited to watch this Kentucky team, and I think they are going to surprise some people once the season starts. They're better than I thought they were. They were awesome in this tournament. All right, I think that's it for this episode of the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast.